out there, I'm Robert. Welcome to HobbyKing, and this is an overview video for the new Dancing Wings Stearman PT-17 profile plane. This is a great, cute little model that is only 450mm wingspan, so it's pretty small, good for indoor use, I would imagine. And it also only weighs 55 grams, so it will fit under the sub-micro 250 gram category for those of you that have restrictions on what you can fly in certain places. And it comes as a kit, so you have to assemble it, but it does come with everything you need except the battery. So it does come with a receiver, and there's a couple of different versions. As indicated here, it has SFHSS, DSMX, FrSky D16, FlySky, and FrSky D8. So this is the DSMX version, or DSM2 and DSMX version. So I would be flying this with either our orange TX6i or the TX10i. And so we'll get to that later. But first we're going to dig through the manual, just read over that real quick, and then build it. And that's about it. So to put it together, as far as I know, all you really need is some glue. And I would typically use some of the HobbyKing foam cure. So I'm going to use this to build it. And so I'll get some close-ups while I'm doing that. But again, it comes with everything. So here is the receiver and ESC. It's a combination receiver, ESC. Motor, prop mount, motor mount, yeah, prop saver. 3 little servos. There's that. And then here are all the foam components. Again, it's a profile plane, so it's just you know, like a flat fuselage, and some carbon pieces and rods and little things like that. So again, PT-17, pretty cool. All right, let me grab some other tools. I'll be right back, and we'll get to the build. Okay, got a knife now to cut through here, so very carefully cut through. Don't cut your foam pieces. Okay. And the manual. As I pointed out in one of my other videos, I actually do read the manuals. I know that, you know, I have a lot of build experience, so it's more than likely I could build this without looking at the manual, but there's usually stuff in the manuals that the manufacturer recommends that you do that you might not have thought of or you might not have ever seen before. So I think it's a good idea to read the manual, so I'm going to do it, and I think you should too. So, but taking a look before I even get to that, this is really kind of cool looking. It's got some, you know, it's printed on the foam, and this feels like, you know, typical Depron kind of foam, very, very thin, very, very light. Somewhat flexible, so that's what the carbon rods are for, to give it some stiffness and some stability. And okay, more of the fuselage and the wings, and I'm loving the detail. I'm loving the way the printing looks on this. It's really, really cool looking. So I'm hoping that we get some other planes in this series, because this looks really good. And one of my clubs does a lot of indoor flying, so I think a plane like this would be perfect for that. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. So, all right, what does the manual say? I'll take a quick read through this. I'll speed this up so it doesn't bore you too much. All right, so I've read the manual, and nothing out of the ordinary. A few little tips, so I'll go over those when we get to it. So I'm going to get some close-ups on the table here, and we'll get to the build. Just a quick note, you can also use Uhu Pour or this kind of glue, what we call mucilage. You know, pretty much any glue that will work with foam will work. One thing to observe in the manual is that page 1 is this whole page, okay? When you get it, it comes like that, okay? So you're gonna wanna take this number 2 page off for now. And this is page 1, this whole thing. So you do the fuselage first, then you do the wing, and so on, and then you get to this page 2, okay? That's why you read the manual. Alright, so here it is, models assembled. Relatively straightforward build. Couple of little things I found during the build. And let's start with the fact that these guys, these cabanes, whatever you might call those are very fragile and they bend very easily. So when you're putting the wing on here, what I did was I ended up using a good bit of foam cure glue. And you know, this is the kind of stuff where you put it on both surfaces and then kind of do this with them to get some air in there and get them to kind of cure together. So I did that, got them in there, and let them sit, kind of adhere nice and strong for maybe 5-10 minutes. And then did the same thing on the top wing, and that helped it go on a little bit better. Another little thing, not a big deal, my wheels. In the manual and in the photos it shows 2 sets of wheels, so the outside and inside look the same. Well, the bolts that go through the wheels for mine weren't thick enough to do that. So I just used 1 set of wheels, and you can decide whether or not to do that yourself as well. For me, that's just how it worked out. So I'm using a 2S250 sized battery, Nanotech, it's a little guy. We sold those on the site, comes with the proper JST connector. And I found that it seems to balance just right. The balance point in the manual is just behind that wing spar. And so that's my balance point right there. It might look a little tail heavy, but I could always move up the receiver board and all that stuff. I've got that right there. It's kind of where it shows it in the manual, if you look closely. So, like I said, you can adjust it, but it should be fine. I imagine it'll fly pretty well. So, I bound it to my TX10i, since this is a DSMX or DSM2 receiver, and I found that the bind procedure was not what I expected it to be. So you would get the model ready in the radio, and I did need to reverse the throttle channel. So it's AETR, aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, not reverse, rudder. And I did have to reverse the throttle channel. Okay, so just be mindful of that on your radio. And because when I first got it bound, with the stick down, it was going into calibration mode. So just reverse the throttle, rebind it, recalibrate it, and then I was all set. So it worked out great. So to bind it, I powered the board up, and then it'll beep. The LED, blue LED will pulse kind of slowly, and then it'll speed up. When it speeds up, that's when you bind. Okay, so as soon as you see that little LED on the board start blinking more rapidly, power on your radio and turn it on while holding the bind button, and that bound it for me. It did take 1 or 2 tries to kind of get that right. I couldn't quite get it the first time, but that worked for me, so it should work for you as well. So the next thing to do is to take this little guy out and fly it, and I'm probably going to try and find an indoor space to fly it. The building I'm in has a big atrium. I actually try to fly it in there, so we'll see how that goes. And just, a couple of final little notes on this. Because it's a profile plane, it's very soft foam, and so there are some things that can kind of bend and get a little out of shape. Like looking at it now, I can kind of see that my elevator is my horizontal stab actually, it's a little bent. So you kind of just tweak it a little bit by eye, and there you go, perfectly straight. My wings look pretty darn good. So my rudder looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with everything. So again, before the maiden flight, I would say very, very pleased with the model. Looking forward to flying it, and I'll be right back with a flight video. Good morning. Got a beautiful calm day here. I'm in the parking lot of my office, so I'm going to do a quick test flight for the PT-17 here, and so we'll see how it goes. All right, here we go. Control check. All right, looks good. All right, we got power. Let's go. So there you have it, a quick little flight with the PT-17 on a TX10i. Little thing flies great. It was a calm morning and no rain, so you can see for yourself that it flew just fine. It's got decent power. Again, I think it's maybe more suited towards indoors flight, but it flew just fine outside here. So I'm real happy with it, and I think this thing's gonna be a little fun thing to take around. So get one yourself and have some fun with it. Until next time, signing off and see you later. And I'm back in the studio. As you can see, the test flight went pretty well. Flew it on the trusty TX10i on DSMX, and so there you have it. Great little plane. I'm looking forward to flying it indoors. That's obviously an ideal environment for a plane like this, and having some fun with it. Maybe try to do some 3D kind of stuff with that. I don't know if that's really quite possible, but we're going to try. And so maybe down the road, look for a subsequent video to follow this one up. But in the meantime, grab one of these yourself and you'll have a blast with it. A lot of fun. If you have any questions about the build or the flight or anything related to this or any other HobbyKing product, you can reach out to us on support. We have live chat 24/7. We also have a support ticket system through email. And I try my best to respond to comments and questions and concerns on these YouTube videos directly myself, so if you post a comment on YouTube, I'll try to get to it myself personally, or someone else definitely will. But, and you can also stay current with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that stuff. So we're always there for you. Reach out to us, say hello, let's talk about RC stuff. And so, until then, signing off, happy flying.